All right, Brian Von VA, I have a question for everybody out there listening in. What is the dumbest thing to become canon in your game? Leave it in the comments below. The stupidest, most idiotic thing that you could think of. Oh boy, T-poseitis, a rare disease that mostly affects adventurers. It generally has no significant impact, but it causes them to seize up into a T-pose and their jaws to clamp shut if they attempt to talk or socialize. It's a running gag that typically occurs whenever someone misses a game. That actually is kind of funny. The list is endless, but some examples include Trop-pickles. Pickles made in a brine of tropical fruit juice and alcohol. You know, some people do that with Kool-Aid. Goblin. What? The reason why goblins seem like mean little shits when they're speaking in common is because that's how they talk in Goblin. It's not offensive. It's just a cultural thing. When they're polite, that's when you have to worry. Sketchy Steve. An NPC in every game who isn't sketchy at all. He's a very nice guy with a speech impediment that makes him sound nefarious. He got his nickname by drawing pictures of orphans and giving them to the children. That's cute, but that was a totally, different direction than I thought it was gonna go. Jesus Christ! Later spelled Jesus Christ with a K, a powerful wizard from ancient times. His descendants still exist in the game, with the big bad evil guy being Grammy Christ. Jesus became canon because a lot of NPCs accidentally say Jesus Christ. I had joked one too many times about Scoobus Doobus being a play that my cleric had seen before, and my DM described a poster for it in a scene while exploring a vampire-infested city. Multi-level marketing companies exist in my version of the Forgotten Realms, and they are led by devils who beguile people and trap them into contracts, forcing them to keep spending money. There was a mob guard who was not hit by 3 attacks made against him during a hostage rescue mission, and he was the last one that needed saving. He almost saved himself. Our headcanon is that after that situation, he was chosen to become a paladin. Rath Modar was convinced to leave his wife as a red wizard to become a tailor. His new identity is Molag Ball, because 2 of my players love Skyrim. He's a Daydrinker prince. My players say this, and I hear Daydrinker. Now, Rath Modar, who is supposed to be a powerful enemy, is their friend, a tailor, and a Daydrinker. Let's all facepalm together. It upsets me in the most comedic of ways. The Shrimpix is a week-long festival of games to determine who's the best shrimper in the realm. Cooking shrimp, peeling shrimp, throwing shrimp, eating shrimp, and more are all part of the biggest event in the world's circle. Wild shapes are milkable. So, we were in a downtime session. My character went to a cooking competition, but it was a team competition, so the entire party participated. There were several rounds, but in the last one, my side dish was mashed potatoes and squash. I was going to put a little milk in it, so I sent one of the party members to get it from the pantry. There was 1 bottle left. The player said, "I come running back with the bottle," and the DM made him roll an athletics check because he was running in a place with a lot of stuff, tables, and other obstacles. Nat 1, for a total of 2. He crashed into something, fell down, and the bottle broke. No more milk. Oh shit! Then the druid, who was next to me in the kitchen, asked the DM, "Hey, could I wild shape into a cow?" The DM was silent for a few seconds and then said, "I'm going to allow that." So the female dwarf druid wild shapes into a cow, and I get down on my knees right there and milk her. Needless to say, we won that competition, and now I have a full set of adamantine cooking knives. Dude, that's awesome. The characters decided never to bring that up in conversation. Lol. Also, there's a character who's an alcoholic. The same character who broke the milk Coincidentally, the player has the worst luck ever, so we've decided that on the days he's rolling really bad, he's either too drunk or too sober to operate optimally. Hatsune Miku. Yes, I know how to pronounce that. It should be noted that I'm not a huge Vocaloid fan, and this happened in a high-level 3-shot run by one of my players in my world. Long story short, a drink-dispensing warforged from a previous era was captured by an insane lich named Richard Dick Fugger, a creation of a friend of mine who has become a bit of an in-universe meme menace. The lich magically transformed the warforged into a singing, dancing entertainment robot that looks just like the Hatsune Miku of our world, and gave it the name Hatsune Miku. We ran a Ravinka campaign where one of the players wanted to be a good aligned Rakados. So I helped the player figure out what a good version of the Blood Circus would look like. He became a professional wrestler, and an important NPC was Randy, the Macho Man Savage. In one game, another player's scholarly chronomancer mage, voiced with a British accent, always had a cup of tea in his hand. No one ever sees him making the tea, building a fire, or with a teapot. But as a time wizard, he just says, "Yeah, I'll make this later." It has absolutely no bearing on the game in any way, but it's an awesome bit of canon character building. I substitute exotic languages with actual languages. We use German for Sylvian, Russian for deep speech, Gaelic for infernal, and the bad people in my game speak a southern dialect that I substitute with Romanian. Colonel Sanders, a descendant of a long-forgotten race of warrior chickens, not anthropomorphic, just, regular chickens, nearly killed a player and then went on to found a dojo to rebuild their ranks. The failures, well, they become the finger-licking good entrees at everyone's favorite fried chicken joint. My players were sold a giant sword that turned out to be just a big piece of iron. They kept it and used it to barricade some castle doors instead of the wooden beam that would have split. It was then dubbed King Kevin's Doorstopper and was sold to the king for 5 times what they paid for it, as a treasure that was paramount to keeping him safe. Wink, wink. They later stole it and replaced it with another hunk of iron from the same merchant. They claimed that Kevin's Doorstopper was special and wasn't the same as the junk iron they left in its place. Kevin's Doorstopper was later broken up and forged into daggers for each member, with a way to slot them all together into a spear that could also be used as a doorstopper, which I was always reminded to say. I created an in-universe reason for influencers to exist. You are a monster. I made an NPC who uses a scrying mirror on himself to record. Blech. He's a warlock, and he asks viewers to pledge their loyalty to an archfey. Oh, and of course to donate to his Patreon page. We have a couple here. Tasha's Caustic Brew has been replaced with Tasha's Autistic Brew. It now does psychic damage and tastes like grape. Jesus Christ. This stemmed from a player accidentally mispronouncing caustic as autistic too many times. Yeah, that happens. Different languages in-game are equivalent to different languages in real life. For example, Common is English, Infernal is German, Celestial is Latin, and Goblin is Dutch. There's also a running gag that Undercommon is just someone speaking with a heavy Australian accent because, underdog, down under, you get it. Controlled by the gods. When someone has to miss a session, but their character was vital or part of something that was cut off midway in the previous session, their character becomes controlled by the gods. This status effect causes their eyes to glaze over, and they follow their most trusted party member autonomously. They take the most logical course of action if combat occurs, but their movements seem strangely mechanical, as if a marionette being puppeted. Essentially, if they miss the session, the DM takes over the character for the important bits and has the character idle during any role-playing or other interactions that aren't purely mechanical, like skill checks if they are the party rogue, lockpicking, etc., or combat-related. Deleted. When someone decides they need to leave the campaign for any reason, usually life getting in the way, their character just ceases to have ever existed. They pop out of existence, and everyone acts as if they were never there. Though sometimes when you look at our party, you get the feeling that something is missing, or someone. Occasionally, NPCs who interact with the party after the deletion will look confused, start counting the party quietly, silently, and then shake their heads as if to dismiss any thoughts. Morbius is canon since we named our obligatory adopted goblin pal Morb, only for one of the players to remark that it sounds like a really mediocre play he saw once. The Catholic Church is also canon, and probably an antagonistic force, since during a one-shot I ran, one of my players' characters asked if the Catholic Church was the reason why the quest giver was having troubles. Lastly, for my latest campaign, I plan on running a duo of Minecraft Endermen working as spies for Strahd. While they're going to be renamed something like Shadow Stalkers, they're basically exactly Endermen, complete with black skin, purple eyes, and a teleportation ability, a hatred for making eye contact, a weakness to water, and dropping teleportation pearls upon death. I'm also planning on giving Strahd a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure-esque time stop ability, because basically our entire table are giant weeaboos, myself included. Waffles! I wanted something unique for the overpriced hotel one of my parties was staying in, but I was too lazy to look up rich people recipes. That's when it occurred to me that, well, almost every culture has some form of pancake stretching back to forever. The waffle is a fairly new culinary invention. On a cultural scale, it's 200-ish years old now. So, I described this succulent breakfast dish with a crispy crust and a tender, almost frothy center. They jumped on the concept and spent an entire session looking for a blacksmith who would forge the necessary griddle for them, since the griddle is what makes waffles unique, otherwise it's just pancake batter. Now, they take the griddle with them everywhere and have even introduced waffles into a couple of other countries. Listen, you gotta get Belgian waffles up in this mother, that way you can really blow their minds. A ship between the big bad evil guy and a joke NPC who was immortal. My DM and I had been goofing around and talking. For some reason, we started talking about how funny a relationship between Myron, a joke NPC who was supposed to be super annoying but invincible, and the entity, a being of pure energy, also the big bad evil guy of the campaign, would be. I said I could write a terrible fanfic about it, and the DM said, "Haha, this is great enough that it's now canon." So, yeah, now the big bad evil guy is in a relationship. Cute. Another thing that was a bit dumb was that a human monk that I had played ended up being a god. This happened because I was dealing a bunch of damage and using a pretty decent strategy to take out every enemy in at least one turn in a one-shot. The gods are all working in a modern-day office building, so communicating with them is like calling customer service. Their feuds are just catty, gossipy office drama that mortals have exaggerated stories of. Some examples. When a mortal ascends to godhood, it's just a new hire. When a god dies, they just got fired or laid off. The spell plague was just a product line that was discontinued due to safety issues, but was re-released by popular demand. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course, if you want to help us keep the lights on, doing so would be a huge favor to us. Sign up for a membership. What you get is honestly early access to videos, maybe some outtakes, you know your boy makes plenty of those, and maybe more. You don't know yet, we don't know yet, we're working on it. But we love you all and we're honest here and we want to make sure you, yes you the listener, gets all the best D&D and Pathfinder and other TTRPG content possible. See you next time. Bye for now.